What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video and here for another episode of my F1 2021 career mode. Today it's time for round 4 in season 1, it's time for Azerbaijan Grand Prix. If you haven't watched the previous race, it was one of the jewels of the calendar, Monaco Grand Prix. I highly recommend to go check it out before you see this one. It was a very tricky weekend with wet conditions, but anyway, we're going to focus today in the streets of Baku. But before jumping onto the track, we're going to buy some upgrades. I decided to risk a little bit and rush an aero upgrade, and hopefully it's going to be ready just before this weekend's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And we're going to buy a standard one for the durability department, and hopefully it's going to be ready before the Canadian Grand Prix. So we're skipping through the days to see the upgrades. We already have one hero, these ones were already scheduled. Thankfully we have the major one for the engine cover, so that is going to be really a plus. But unfortunately the one that we decided to rush unfortunately has failed, and I wasn't that surprised because it was a 55% chance of failing. So yeah, it's quite unfortunate, but I decided to take a risk. We need some downforce at this track. He has a lot of straight line speed, it requires a lot of straight line speed I should say, but he has a lot of 90-degree corners which require a lot of downforce. But here we go. For this weekend we have in store a good package of upgrades, so that is going to really come in handy. We'll see how what this means in the performance chart, and definitely we catch a little bit Alfa Romeo. Williams is not bringing upgrades since the Spanish Grand Prix, so they are being a bit left behind. But let's see if we can be a bit closer to the Alfa Romeos in this weekend, and hopefully we can get a positive result. And for the first time we'll see if I can finish ahead of the back markers, the guys of the Williams, the Alfa Romeos, and my teammate Mick SCHUMACHER. Practice wise, things are going really smoothly. We're just doing the programs. At the moment I didn't skip any practice doing the automatic practice programs, because I always like to get a feel of the medium tires and the hard tires, which is a thing that you can do, for example, in time trial. And things are going very smoothly for us. I did everything in practice 1, and you can see that we gain a good amount of resource points, getting some nice discounts on our future upgrades. You can see that we're getting a lot of discounts, especially for the durability department, which is a part that I'm focusing a lot in the car, because for example the control electronics, the first one is already in 40-odd%. I changed some more components for this weekend because we need a lot of straight line speed, and the same goes for the next weekend, which is going to be the Canadian Grand Prix, another engine track, we could say a straight line speed track. But anyway, here we go to qualifying. We'll see what we can do as we go into turn 1 very cleanly. Make sure to use all the track as available as you can. Max Verstappen setting the provisional fastest time of Q1. We'll see what we can do. We got out of Q1 as we went a bit deep into the beginning of the castle session, though that's not ideal. This lap wasn't the best. There's definitely some time left on the tail, but like I was saying, in the last weekend we managed to get out of Q1 for the first time. I don't know if you're going to do the same in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We'll see what we can do across the line, and we are behind both Alfa Romeos. And let me tell you, the lap wasn't that good. The only thing good was the first sector, I can tell you. You can see that we're skipping the time, and we're just ahead of Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. So definitely we have a lot of time to gain. Antonio Giovinazzi at the moment is the only one going into Q2, but now we'll see what we can do in this second and final lap with 30 seconds to go as we go brake very hard into the first corner, hit the curb. We went a bit wide, it wasn't that clean as I would expect, and now we skip a little bit forward onto the beginning of the castle session, gaining chunks of time, 0.3 of a second comparing to our previous best. In the first sector we didn't improve, because I can tell you that the first sector was perfect, so it would be almost impossible to improve that time. But now we're just gaining not even 0.2 of a second, so things are not looking really good for us if we want to get into the second part of qualifying. As we go through this very understeery right hand, it's very hard to make the corner. Those curbs on that left-hander are absolute killers, but actually we managed to get without damage, get unscathed as we go into the final proper corner, and we're gaining almost 0.5 of a second, so it's not looking good if we want to get into Q2. I think we're going to get knocked out in this session. So the question remains, where we're going to start in this Grand Prix. At the moment we are ahead of just one Williams car, which definitely is not ideal. 0.5 of a second up on our previous best across the line, and I think this is not going to be enough to put us into Q2. Just waiting for the results. Lewis Hamilton with the fastest time, followed by Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen. So now we're scrolling down, we'll see where this is going to mean. P18 unfortunately, 0.4 slower than our teammate, and Kimi Raikkonen gets through. so not a positive qualifying. I don't know, the lap wasn't there. I made some mistakes on that second lap, maybe I was too nervous. The first lap was full of mistakes and I couldn't capitalize everything on the second lap. So unfortunately, it's going to be P18, but never say never. Baku is one of the craziest races on the calendar. Everything can happen. Never say never in Formula 1, you know. So without further ado, let's go down to the track for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
A warm welcome to all of you watching at home to today's Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and a race that in its short history has already proven no stranger to drama. A fourth row start is just about as likely to give you a podium as a pole position would. And remember, in 2017 and 2018, both Lance Stroll and then Sergio Perez took surprise podiums here. Baku City Circuit then, an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season.
Crofty, no commentary. It seems that I have to do the commentary. I don't know, welcome. What is happening, Crofty? Why are you not talking? Okay, we'll see you on the grid.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Perez, Vettel, Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Giovinazzi, Thomas and George Russell, Sainz and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
And here we are on the track, guys, after a disappointing qualifying, starting in P17 thanks to a penalty from Carlos Sainz. We'll see what he can do. Azerbaijan, everything can happen. We learned from the real-life Formula 1 that is always a crazy race. Strategy-wise, it's recommended a 2-stop, which is kind of weird to see, because generally the 1-stop is the one that works the best. I'm going to start on the mediums, and then we'll see how things are going to evolve over the course of this Grand Prix. Then I'm going to take a decision if I should take the 1-stop or the 2-stop. For now, I'm going to stay with the 2-stop, but things can change over the course of this Grand Prix, because I don't really want to start on the hards, I'm gonna be honest, but we'll see what we can do over the course of these next 26 laps for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 5 red lights, and it's go, go, go at Azerbaijan. Great start already alongside our teammate Mick Schumacher as we go very gingerly into turn 1, try almost hitting the back of Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. Run outside, we go above Alfa Romeo side by side now with Kimi Raikkonen as we go into turn 2. Raikkonen making a almighty dive bomb on the Alpine, and he makes that move stick, and now we are up into P15, so it's been a decent start, and I'm trying to get some slipstream of Esteban Ocon. Is going defensive, are going to the outside, to the inside, he switches to the right hand side of the track, so we're going to the inside to see if we can overtake the Alpine. We made the move stick, and once again we overtake Esteban Ocon on the first lap as Stroll is going side by side with Tsunoda. He loses a bit the back end, and these guys are already losing time to the guys ahead, and this is not really ideal because it's vital to have DRS in a track like Azerbaijan thanks to that 2-kilometer start-finish straight. And it's been a good start already up into P14. We have behind an Alpine, which I don't know for how many laps I'm going to manage to keep him behind, because that Alpine is pretty pacey at the moment. Ocon has been struggling a bit in these early stages of the season as we go through the castle session for the first time. Beautiful camera shot, and losing a bit of time already to Kimi Raikkonen. So this is a bit boring, but let's not stretch that out because it's still the first lap of this Grand Prix. In this corner, it's very easy to put your Grand Prix to an early end. It's so understeery. If you hit those curves, like I was saying, qualifying, it's very probable to, you know, put your car into the wall, basically. But we'll see what we can do now in the start-finish straight. Let's see if we can get some slipstream of Kimi Raikkonen. The thing is, everyone is stuck in each other's DRS, so we have this kind of a DRS train. it will get better once the DRS gets deployed on the third lap of this race. Lewis Hamilton leads the way, and I think in second place, I think it's still Valtteri Bottas. I'm not entirely sure. Side by side goes Sebastian. No, this is Lance Stroll. Apologies. With Fernando Alonso. Alonso goes round the outside. Stroll seems to be struggling because he's starting on the hardest comparative tire. Alonso is up into P11. Raikkonen going defensive, but maybe trying a move on Lance Stroll. Let's try to get a good slingshot, a good run, which we do so. And we're getting now the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo. He's going defensive. Side by side, we go through the veteran for the second time in this season. Great battle we had at Barcelona. Round the outside, we go through this 90-degree corner. He hits the curb, so that will unsettle the car. And without a surprise, we take P13 in this Grand Prix. So things are looking really good for us already in P13, but not very good news for our teammate Mick Schumacher. This is the end of lap 1, starting lap 2, and he's changing his front wing. So definitely not the ideal start. Probably made contact with someone when everyone is close with each other, especially when you're going down a straight at high speed and then you have a slow corner ahead of you. So the cars are going to get really close and maybe too close, and probably is what happened to Mick Schumacher. But now the end of lap 2, we're catching an Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. He's on the hardest comparative tire. He seems to be struggling a lot. I don't know if he has some sort of front wing damage, but this is really weird to see. I tried to go on the outside. That was really close to his gearbox. Side by side we go through the start-finish straight. The DRS gets enabled. Down inside we go. He's really good on the brakes, but we managed to give a bit of an aggressive squeeze, I'm not gonna lie. So that was, I don't know, maybe a bit dirty for me. Maybe I could have been a bit more lenient with Stroll. We squeeze him so much that now he's under threat from Raikkonen. Side by side he goes with a fin, and we're already pulling away massively from this guy. So this is really good because I really want to break the DRS from this guy. Side by side, I think this is Esteban OCON going side by side with Gio as well. Down inside goes the Alpine, and Raikkonen overtakes Stroll while going round the inside. So a lot of action already. This is still the third lap of the Grand Prix, and it's already being an absolute banger. So many side by side action. Hopefully we're going to see that at the front. Not for the first place, because Lewis Hamilton leads the way and is miles ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Ricardo got up into third place in these first laps of the race, so Max Verstappen seems to be struggling at the moment. The McLarens are looking pretty basic in the early stages of this Grand Prix, thanks to that Mercedes power unit, it must be. But now this is Antonio Giovinazzi at the end of lap for overtaking Lance Stroll, so Lance Stroll should be hating to race at a track that gave him the first podium in Formula 1. He seems to be struggling a lot on those harder comparative tires. Things are not looking good. I know that he's on the hardest comparative tire, but that's an Aston Martin, so that's a bit shocking to see. But now the two stoppers are stopping. You can see that we're already up into P6, so maybe I'm thinking, who knows, maybe one stop. I think it's the better idea. It will depend how these guys are going to manage the traffic. As Charles Leclerc, everyone is putting the medium tire, so it's going to be a soft medium strategy. As Valtteri Bottas is exiting the pits, it is side by side with the Williams of Nicholas Latifi. Oh, so close action, and Latifi somehow managed to go side by side with the Mercedes. This is fantastic stuff. George Russell going side by side with Max Verstappen. At the end of the day manages to get ahead, and Latifi somehow manages to get ahead of the Mercedes. And now this is Max Verstappen sends one down inside of the Mercedes, and I'm already losing a bit my voice. This is absolute fantastic. The Williams giving a hard time to Mercedes, which doesn't make absolute any sense. I mean, makes sense for Latifi because he doesn't make part of the Mercedes family, but now this is Max Verstappen going on the inside of Nicholas Latifi through the fast corners before the start-finish straight. This was really close. Now it's time for Daniel Ricciardo to do the same. Side by side he goes with the Williams, but the Williams is gaining on a Red Bull, and this is a long straight, so he might go side by side with Verstappen. Is a free wide. Oh, this is absolute textbook, and down inside goes Daniel Ricciardo, and you can see on the top right hand corner Lewis Hamilton is pulling to the side of the track. Hamilton, the race leader, is out of the Grand Prix, and now Verstappen sending one on the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. No, that was Sergio Perez, apologies. What a race it's been at the moment, and Verstappen still has to clear Nicholas Latifi. Once again Latifi going defensive because the yellow flags. Verstappen can't overtake here. Look at Hamilton, but Verstappen still with the yellow flags overtakes the Williams. Oh, I need to breathe a little bit. I'm already losing my voice. Once again we lose the race leader. It was Hamilton and Bahrain. It was Bottas at the Spanish Grand Prix. Perez was in second place, so it was a bit close, let's be honest. Oh, what is happening to the the race leaders in this season so far, getting engine failures. This is absolute fantastic, and we find ourselves in P3, Tsunoda and Alonso for the time being leading the Grand Prix, so I think we're going to stick with the one stop, and now Norris going right on inside on Bottas. That was really close, so Bottas seems to be struggling a lot in this Grand Prix, in this new set of medium tires. Bottas is pulling into the pits, and Norris slows down massively, and Ricciardo goes ahead of his teammate. Bottas is pitting, and he's changing his front wing. What a turnaround! Probably we won't see a Mercedes winning this race, and Perez pulls into the pits as well, and he's fitting a new front wing, so Perez probably it was that contact with the Williams. But what has happened to Valtteri Bottas and Alonso? I think can genuinely win this race because Verstappen is in 9th place at the moment. Alonso still needs to pit, however Verstappen needs to pit once again. So this can be really close because I think Bottas at the moment seems to be out of contention to win this Grand Prix, and this race is really important to overtake Hamilton in the standings. Round outside goes Carlos Sainz. Oh, that was really close. I think Latifi lost a bit the back end. Oh, what a race it's been at the moment. It's only lap 9, ladies and gentlemen, and all this action already happened. Baku never disappoints, ladies and gentlemen. We're still holding this precious P3. You know what really would come in handy? Miraculous safety car. That will for sure put us on the points, or at least, you know, around P12 or P13, I don't know. But this race has been something else. We are in a position, we're in P3 with the Haas. I know that we need to pit, but still, this is quite unbelievable to see. And now Esteban Ocon, we are under threat from the Alpine, and I'm kinda critical on fuel, you can see. So I need to start to lift and coast. However, I have Ocon and Giovinazzi right up my chop, so we need to be really smart here if we want to cross the line in this Grand Prix. But now we skip a little bit forward onto lap 12, to the end of lap 12. Alonso is pulling into the pits, and we're going to do the same, and we're going to dress a brand set of hard tires. So definitely we're going to the one stop, because I think is the way to go. With the action that is happening behind us, with guys losing time with each other, I think the one stop is viable for the guys that started outside of the top 10. Tsunoda is pulling into the pits as well. We're going to dress a brand set of hard tires, and this is Tsunoda. He's changing his front wing. How many front wing changes have we ever seen in this Grand Prix so far? This is quite unbelievable. We exit the pits, and here comes Kimi Raikkonen. He's on the 2 stop on the softest comparative tire. We really need to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Very aggressive on the squeeze, but we only just managed to get ahead of the Alfa Romeo. But Raikkonen on the soft comparative tires on the 2 stop, so that is not really the smartest thing to do. We're going to need to stretch a bit our legs to keep that Alfa Romeo behind us. But now look at the train that Daniel Ricciardo is forming. Definitely, and Verstappen is going on the side of someone, and Ricciardo hits the wall! He loses the front wing, and now I think he's under threat from Lando Norris. Down the inside goes the McLaren, and they collide. I think they collided. The 2 teammates collide on lap 13 of this Grand Prix. Oh, what is happening in this race? Ricciardo doesn't have a front wing. I think Norris has damage, and now Verstappen is really close. Look how close these guys are, and this can be a bit dangerous because Ricciardo doesn't have any front wing, no front downforce in these fast corners. And look at the train, look how close these guys are, and side by side goes the Ferrari with the Alfa Romeo. It's like, I don't know, 8 cars going side by side, separated by less than a second. Look at this, I never seen this in an F1 career mode of mine. This is quite a story, this is quite unbelievable, and this is Alonso going round outside of Sebastian Vettel. I don't have any words to describe that. The replay speaks for itself. 8 cars going close to each other, and I think Ricciardo had front wing damage on a few moments earlier, and it was hitting the back of Esteban Ocon. Ocon at the moment, at least in this lap, was leading the race, and Ricciardo lost one of his end plates, and there's no chance. He had no front downforce, but if he knew that he had front wing damage, why he went flat through that corner? And then Norris, that was completely stupid. That was complete dumb for Norris. He could have waited for the start-finish straight. That was so stupid from Lando Norris. 2 McLarens. It was going to be a great race from them. At least one of them on the podium probably. And now this happened. Oh, this is quite unfortunate. Now we're going to see this from Sebastian Vettel's POV, just to show you how close this was. It was like 8 or 9 cars separated by less than a tenth of a second. I've never seen something like this in my entire life, and it was super dangerous. 3 wides, and I think Stroll was really close to hit you know, the pit wall. For a moment it seems that I installed the Formula NASCAR mod. That was quite unbelievable, and this is a few moments earlier, overtaking all these guys. At the moment we are on P12, And now we are on P9, and remember, we don't have to stop anymore in this race as Schumacher is pulling into the pits. And you can see that we have guys that on the 2-stop that still have to stop, and for sure that we're going to be ahead of them. So we are looking really good to score points in this race. Lap 16, we're already up into 4th place, and this is Gasly going side by side with Sergio Perez. Wrong side goes the 2 guys of the Red Bull family, and I think they made contact once again. What is happening in this race? Once again contact, and that tricky left-hander. Now one of the McLarens, it is Norris, going side by side, trying to overtake Perez, but this was Gasly. Oh, that was really close. It would be an amazing move if they didn't make contact, but Perez hit that curb, and that sent the car straight into the AlphaTauri. Let's see if my suspicions are correct. Yes, he hit that curb. Oh yes, he had absolutely no chance. But why are the guys overtaking in this corner? Is almost impossible to make a move, you know, without making contact. Sainz, it was the best one to make the move so far, and he still made contact with the Williams. Thankfully, he didn't have any sort of damage. But look at us in P4, Valtteri Bottas right up of our gearbox. He's on the hardest comparator, so he goes till the end of the Grand Prix. Bottas is doing a fantastic comeback in P4, and there's no way that I'm going to defend that, because let's be honest, that's a Mercedes. I think I can keep Ocon behind. I don't know for how many laps. But I'm going to give my best in order to be ahead of the Alpine. But look at us in P3 in this Grand Prix, and remember that we don't have to stop anymore as well for this man that is leading the race. Fernando Alonso can win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It will depend how fast can Valtteri Bottas be. At the moment he's almost 11 seconds behind the Alpine, so this can be really close. He has 10 laps to catch the Alpine. Just to remember, guys, Alonso started in P11 outside of the top 10, just to see how powerful the one-stop he is. I know that he's being lucky thanks to, you know, all the trouble behind, but you know, he's keeping his nose clean, and that's what matters. But now here comes Esteban Ocon, down the inside he goes. I'm starting to feel a little bit the pressure as I miss massively the apex at the first corner, and I'm starting to feel a little bit the pressure. But at the moment, we're legitimately on the podium of this race. We are looking really good to score our first points in Formula 1 in a crazy race full of incidents at the streets of Baku. And this is Max Verstappen can't seem to find a way to overtake Yuki Tsunoda. So if I was Christian Horner or Helmut Marko, I would be, you know, having a phone call with Franz Tost at the moment to let Verstappen go through. But now it's time for round 2, and around the outside this time goes the Alpine. I decided to go defensive this time, and Verstappen couldn't overtake Tsunoda. He tried to go on the inside into the first corner, but it didn't work. I don't know how are we managing to do this, but we can score our first podium in Formula 1 and our first points in our F1 career. This is quite the story. But I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure on Esteban Ocon, and I'm starting to run out a bit of energy, so things are critical for me. And there goes Ocon, and there's no chance at the moment that I can overtake. And see really hard on the brakes to see if I can regain this position. You know what? I'm going to have another DRS, so we'll see what we can do about it. But at the moment where I am in P4, if I finish this race outside of the points, I'm going to be happy anyway, because we're doing a banger of a job at the moment. And now slipstream on Esteban Ocon. We'll see if you can regain this position. He goes the first, round the outside we go, and we somehow have the legs, have the grip to regain the final step of the podium. What is this race? I don't know what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm being without a doubt the largest F1 car, the largest Haas that has ever built in the history of Formula 1. And now Ocon goes through. He has DRS, but I'm going to see if I can gain some stream. But here comes Yuki Tsunoda, and down inside he goes. But I'm going to try to see if I can regain this position on Esteban Ocon. And you can see that now he's getting a little bit far from the road, and I think that's pretty much it. Unless I have DRS once again in the start-finish range, I think we're going to have 5 tenths away. Yes, we're going to have, I believe. So we still have a chance to get a podium in this Grand Prix. I'm going to give everything, because this can be the only time this season that we can get a podium. So it's now or never. I'm not deploying ERS. I'm going to wait for the second DRS zone. So we'll see. We need to get a good traction through the first corner, but we lost massively the back end, and I think that's pretty much it. I think that's it. We're not going to get the podium in this Grand Prix, but we're still in P4. We're collecting at the moment 12 precious points in a Haas. You don't see this every single day. And look at Mick Schumacher in P14. What could have been if he didn't have that front wing damage? And now this is Verstappen. He can't overtake the AlphaTauri. What is happening to Max Verstappen? He doesn't seem to find a way to overtake the rookie Yuki Tsunoda. Talking about Tsunoda, here comes the AlphaTauri, and I have no chance. I'm running out of ERS. I need to think a little bit on the next few laps, otherwise I'm going to lose positions left, right and center. And now Verstappen going round the outside. We skip a little bit on the curb and we have a bit of a steer, and in the process we managed to squeeze very aggressively Verstappen. So being a little bit dirty, down inside goes Carlos Sainz on Charles Leclerc. That was really close to lose his front wing, and the two Ferraris almost making contact with his teammate. I think it was defending from Lando Norris, but now we're going to see if we can defend Yuki Tsunoda. Down inside we go. Oh, what I'm doing, how I'm keeping with these guys, and now we're going to switch to the outside. Tsunoda turns a little bit into us. We made contact, but we are ahead of the AlphaTauri. Oh, what is happening? And Verstappen sends one down inside. He's started to be behind these guys that are not from his league. And I think, yes, we managed to keep Verstappen behind. We did. I don't know what we're doing at the moment. And now Tsunoda is under threat from Charles Leclerc. So it seems that Tsunoda is losing some pace at the moment. But now it's going to be really a hard task to keep that Red Bull behind. Because, you know, it's a Red Bull. It's completely different from the AlphaTauri. And I was already struggling with Tsunoda. So we'll see what he can do. It's not going to be really easy to keep Verstappen behind. He's smelling my gearbox. He's gaining and gaining. He's going to send on the inside. And we'll make this work. Verstappen hits the wall! Verstappen, that is the championship challenger, loses completely his front wing, and the Charles Leclerc goes on the inside, and the virtual safety car for the first time in this career mode series gets deployed. But what has happened to Max Verstappen? He couldn't wait for the start-finish straight, but he decided to hit himself into the wall. Oh, Verstappen, what are you doing? You're in Formula 1 for 6 years, for 6 seasons, and you do a mistake like that. And it is more embarrassing because he was trying to overtake the slowest car on the grid. Oh, this is completely stupid. This is completely silly. And then Leclerc, in the process, lost the front wing. So this will mean that he's pitting as well. But this race is something else. I don't know. The AI is more competitive, but it does more stupid things. And look at Schumacher in P12. This man is really close as well to score his first points in Formula 1. What could have been if he didn't have to change his front wing on the first lap? We're back in P4, ladies and gentlemen. Tsunoda is gaining on us as well, and Lando Norris seems to be on that fight too. And I think Tsunoda is slowing down. I think I saw a bit of a cloud of smoke, so we made contact with the AlphaTauri. We need to see the replay, but Norris gets through. But I think we made contact with Tsunoda, and now he's under threat from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc goes around the outside and gets ahead of the AlphaTauri. So more chaos to be added in this Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and I think there's no way that I'm not going to catch Norris with that Mercedes at the back of that orange car. And now he's going to lose another position, the Japanese, this time to Sebastian Vettel running. No, this is actually Lance Stroll, so apologies for that. Sebastian Vettel leads 2 places behind, and now gets through, and now it's time for Sergio Perez. So I think Tsunoda has front wing damage. It must be, because he's losing a lot of positions. This time is for Sergio Perez, Brown outside. He goes on in anytime soon. He might lose a position to Sebastian Vettel, and Perez gets through, I believe. Yes, he does. No, they're still going at it, and actually Tsunoda manages to keep that position. But now, still on the same lap, on the penultimate lap, we're already on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Tsunoda pits. Vettel pits. The Vettel pit. What has happened to Sebastian Vettel? Look at Mick Schumacher in P10. Schumacher can score points in this race. But what has happened to Sebastian Vettel? He's changing the front wing. Why are they changing the front wing on the last lap of the Grand Prix? And we come back to our POV. You're going to join me for the rest of this lap. We run beat deep. We locked up. We missed completely the apex. And we are under threat from Lance Stroll. And he's trying to go around the outside. We're going to squeeze him very aggressively because it's all or nothing. This can be the only chance that we can score points in our F1 career, at least in this first season. You're going to judge me for the rest of this lap because we are about to score our first points in Formula 1 unless we crash, because there's no way. I think though in the worst case we're going to finish in 7th place of this Grand Prix. Schumacher, and it's not guaranteed because he has the Williams that is super fast on the straight line of George Russell. But there he is, the man, Fernando Alonso, after starting in P11, wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, takes Alpine's first win in Formula 1. What a race from the Spaniard. He is back, baby. Stroll sends one down inside and he hits the wall once again. Oh, this is unbelievable. And I think it's in the threat from Carlos Sainz, so I think we are home safe. Carlos Sainz tries to go on the inside, but no chance at all. I think he's ahead of Lance Stroll. They're going side by side, so I think for sure that we're going to finish in P5. So now we have to wait for the straight. But what about Mick Schumacher? We'll see, but I think he's going to be our first point in Formula 1. Carlos Sainz doesn't have any distance to regain that P5. 10 precious points for us. But what about Mick Schumacher? He's going to score a single point in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and that is double points finish for Haas and the first points for these two rookies. But a round of applause for Fernando Alonso. What a race! What a race! Without a doubt, the craziest race that I have ever witnessed in my entire F1 career.
It's never an easy race here in Azerbaijan. There's drama around every corner, but they've come through to take a brilliant win here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, you know? I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
Once again, it's podium time, and once again, it's a clear win for Alpine. Alpine have seen their fair share of success in Formula 1, and today is proof that they've still got what it takes to thrill us all. Congratulations to everyone at Alpine.
You know, it was a crazy race when, first, I'm losing my voice, and when we have two Alpines and one of them is the race winner, a legend like Fernando Alonso. Oh, what a race it was. Unbelievable. This is without a doubt the craziest race I've ever witnessed in my entire F1 career, and we got points! We got points! 10 points plus 1 of Mick Schumacher. George Russell, even in the game, finishes in P11. Oh, that is heartbreaking for Williams, but oh boy. What a race. I'm saying what a race 1,000 times, but I think I have reason to say that. And Valtteri Bottas takes the lead of the championship. Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris 7 and 5 points behind the championship leader respectively. Lewis Hamilton being demoted into 4th place, and we are in P12. Level with Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. This is not happening. It's a shame that we can have more races like this, because this is quite unusual. It's not going to have happen in every single race, but what a title of fight, you know, we would have if all races were crazy. And Mick Schumacher scores his first points of Formula 1, the last of the point scorers at the moment. And then we have both Williams and Antonio Giovinazzi yet to score points. That was really unfortunate for George Russell. He also deserved, you know, to score points, but it is what it is. The world of Formula 1 can be a very cruel world. In the constructor standings, it is Mercedes leading the way ahead of McLaren, that now jumps ahead of Red Bull, and then Alpine, Ferrari, and then Aston Martin, AlphaTauri. We are 6 points behind AlphaTauri, so just see how successful this race was. Then Alfa Romeo with just 2 points, and then Williams the only team yet to score points. But guys, that has been episode 4 of my F1 2021 career mode. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if new. It really motivates me to make more. A lot of career mode videos are coming to this channel, and hopefully we can have more crazy races like this one. Azerbaijan, Baku never disappoints. But now I can't wait to see what is going to happen in the next race at Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. But until then, I'll see you guys for a brand new video next time. Take care.